Gary.
This is Austin.
And we are Midwest Mics coming back at you, not live from the UClick TV studios this week. With schedules and the virus thing going on and stay-at-home stuff in Kansas City, we were unable to get into the studio this week, but we are in the home studio bringing you some good content.
We're at the old school home studio, recording the way we used to in the old days, which actually is kind of fun. It's kind of cool, but you know, we really like to be back in the studio in front of the camera. That's actually, we've grown accustomed to that. But you know, during these times, you do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. So you know, not a lot again going on in the sports world this week. And later on in this show, we are going to talk to Coach Will Gorden, who was on the show about a year ago, talking high school baseball as he was getting ramped up for his season. And here in Kansas, where I live and work, Austin's on the Missouri side, but here in Kansas, schools are out the entire year, and they have canceled the spring sports season. So we're going to talk to Coach Gorden about that and how he feels about the season getting canceled and no school.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, it's one of those things where it sucks. It sucks really bad for, you know, but it's actually it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, you see some of the areas where, like New York or whatever, where people are like still kind of gathering and stuff, or like, you know, spring break stuff. And guess what? You know, cases are up. And so, you know, it goes to show that at the large gatherings, the virus is spreading and whatever. So it's, you know, it's not good. I think we still got a little ways to go before we're out of kind of what this quarantine deal that we're in right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when you really think about it, the worst thing about it right now for most people is that, you know, you're just getting a little stir crazy. You know, you want to get out of the house, which the cool thing is the weather's been awesome. So if you wanted to go out on the bike, you wanted to hang out in the patio at your house, cook out. I know you did some grilling out.
Yep.
You know, you can do that. So the weather's been kind of cooperative, so we can kind of get out of the house a little bit. But it's going to be fun to get back to normal and get back to sports and, you know, get everything going again. And hopefully we get there sooner than later.
Yeah, here in the Kansas City area, you know, the mayor and kind of the leaders in each county have agreed with it. There's kind of a stay-at-home order, you know, until April 24th. So really only essential business, stuff like that going on. You know, you're fortunate enough to still be working, and, you know, the restaurants are doing some curbside to go and stuff.
Yeah.
They put things in place to kind of keep going. So, you know, your life's not a lot different, but just, you know, we're not getting to go out and have the fun we're used to.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's one of the downsides is definitely, me and you are definitely extroverts and social kind of guys. And so for this to be going on, it's, you know, it sucks. Cool thing is we do have social media, so I do get to keep in contact with everybody and you know, Snapchat and all that stuff's been kind of fun. But yeah, when this is over, I'll definitely be ready to get out and have a good time. I'll be definitely ready to do a little guys trip.
Yeah.
You know, travel a little bit and do some stuff. So, yeah, something crazy. I got my letter yesterday. It says something about Homeland Security, but it's like if things get worse to where you need a letter to drive around. I do have that. They're not saying that it's probably not going to come to that, but we just have those just in case, to kind of show who you are. You know, or if you're out in public, like doing whatever, and someone wants to know what you're doing out, you know, I have this letter to show. My wife has one also. She works for a cardiology group. So she's essential as well. So yeah, blessed in that way. So, I mean, the one thing to do about it is to stay positive and to spend time with the family. And, like I said, no sports going on. So, you know, a lot of anything going on really is just kind of NFL free agency and, some of that stuff. And then to go back and maybe watch some of the cool, replays that they have games that were awesome in the past. You know, Another thing I've been catching up on is pro wrestling too.
Yeah,
they're doing it in empty arenas, which is kind of cool. So I've still been kind of watching that too, which is still good. Just, you know, the live crowd helps, but you know, whatever. So
yeah, that's been a little different. You know, I've been kind of getting back into it too. Just, you know, you can only watch so much Netflix, and you know, I've said before, you know, those guys are really good athletes. And even though the outcome is predetermined, they're still really athletic in what they do. And actually, I saw a Twitter thing last night I was looking at, and it was name your top 3 wrestlers of all time. So I tweeted mine out, and I'll talk about it here, but kind of put you on the spot. Who's in your top 3? Maybe not necessarily in the 1, 2, 3 order, but
because the one's really hard because lately I've been as I've been going back through watching replays. I've been watching WrestleMania replays, and I'm like, man, I'm really feeling like Undertaker has a super strong argument for 1 because he has a lot of classic matches.
He does.
Literally, the 2 with Shawn Michaels, and then the 1 with Triple H in the cage is really good. And then just a lot of his he has some bad WrestleMania matches, but most of the time it's because whoever he was working with is not great.
Yeah,
Giant Gonzalez is
terrible.
terrible.
9, that was not a good match.
Actually, the A-Train Big Show one, it was okay, but he has some classic stuff. And then as far as the locker room guy, the number 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got no doubt the match that he throws on with AJ Styles will be really good because Styles, he's older. Styles will carry him a little bit, but Taker will hit all his spots and everything. So real quick top 3 off the top of my head, and I'll probably think about it more later. Just probably Taker, Flair, Hogan.
Okay,
that seems pretty easy. There's I see arguments for Michaels for sure.
Yep,
he has a lot of classic matches. I was going to say there's an argument for Bret Hart, maybe. Hart really went to WCW and he kind of fell off.
Yeah.
Not necessarily his fault. But the easy ones for me, Taker, Flair, Hogan. There's some other guys.
Yeah.
I guess too, but that's the easy ones for me.
Yeah. My initial reaction when I tweeted it out last night is Flair, Hogan, and Stone Cold.
Yeah, I like that too.
I saw from our friend Gat. She had the Macho Man in there.
Randy's got an argument.
I guess there's an argument, but no Flair. I don't know. To me, Flair kind of stands above Hogan because Flair could work better in the ring. If it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I would have got into wrestling.
Yeah, that's why I have Hogan on there too.
His presentation and his matches were not necessarily very technically sound, but they were entertaining.
Yeah, with Hogan, there's some good matches. A lot of times they're really good because who he was with.
Yeah.
So him versus The Rock, the first one is really good because The Rock The Rock does a good job switching to being a heel throughout halfway through the match, which was awesome. But yeah, you watch Hogan. The character Hollywood is awesome. The matches are really bad.
Yeah,
they're really bad. The Roddy Piper stuff sucks. Mm-hmm. The Sting match should have been better. The finish is trash. But as far as his character and his mic skills and all that stuff goes, but I understand Randy Savage. Randy Savage has some classics in the 80s.
He did.
I think WWE failed with his booking, especially for WrestleMania 10 with Crush.
Yeah,
I actually think there was argument that actually the plan was for a minute to set up him versus before the Rumble to set up him versus Yoko or him versus Bret Hart. I think him versus Bret Hart WrestleMania 10 would have been sweet if they could have figured that out, but for some reason they did the Hart Luger Yoko, and then they couldn't figure out what to do with Randy, so they paired him with Crush, which is no knock on. I think it's Bryan Adams. Yeah, no knock on Bryan.
Like
Bryan is fine. It is fine. I thought the match was goofy. It's whatever. Anyways, Randy Savage has a good argument too. Steamboat matches are classics.
Another name that I saw being tweeted out a lot as I looked through the thread was The Rock. There's definitely an argument there too to put him in the top 3. With what he did. It's all a matter of opinion, and I gave a couple people a hard time because of their list, but just trying to have some fun with it.
Yeah, well, I guess so. So we kind of move on a little bit to stuff that's going on, and we know you're a big Cowboys fan. So the Dak Prescott, the contract's not at this moment that we're recording. The contract is not signed, but we got rumors of what it is. and they're basically ironing out details right now. So anywhere from 32 to 34 a year.
Yeah, I've seen as high as 35.
Yeah, and then basically one of the debate, or not debate, but one of the
sticking
points on it is 4 years versus Cowboys want 5 years, which I understand, and then Dak wants 4 years, which I get as far as the player goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he wants less years, but the same guaranteed money, which as a player, that's what I would go for too. So I understand that. We know that initially, you for sure thought, and I actually was coming around to that too, that I thought that Dak was going to play this year under his franchise, which he didn't want to, because he feels like if he gets hurt, he's leaving a lot of guaranteed money on the table, XYZ. But the Cowboys are going to go ahead and they basically got Amari's deal done, and then they decided to go and figure out Dak. So we know what you thought they were going to do, which was franchise tag and have him play out. What did you want them to do?
I felt like the franchise was the right move and let it play out. I think because of this corona and everything's kind of on hold, I think that kind of gave them, with OTAs and stuff pushed back because of this, I think it gave the Cowboys some more time to get back to the table. And so they're just kind of utilizing it. You really don't. Ideally, you don't want your quarterback to be playing under the franchise tag.
Right.
Players don't like it.
Right.
And I get all those reasons. And so I think their approach was, hey, we got this extra time. Let's see how far apart we are. I mean, in a negotiation, both sides are saying, hey, this is what we want. This is our bottom line. And, you meet somewhere in the middle. So I think it's good that they're kind of working on it and using this time a little productively. And, Jerry Jones takes a lot of heat, and I've given him some too, but really in the last, I feel like about 10 years, he's done a really good job as general manager, in the deals he's made.
Yeah, I think so too. Really his big losses he's had would be, they're a while ago. There's for some of the receivers he's traded for.
Yeah.
Not Amari. Amari's a win for me.
Yeah, back to the Roy Williams.
Which
I think that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's been a long time. He did a really good job building the O-line, which the center retired.
Yeah, that was kind of a shock for him to retire out of the blue, really. It was. I mean, it may not have been out of the blue to him or the organization, but he had been dealing with some health issues as well. He had missed, I think, part of the season last year. Due to some health issues, and so him just not being 100% healthy, I think he just decided it was time to hang it up. And 29 years old, and he was definitely a key piece to that puzzle, and he's going to be hard to replace. But I mean, they have time with the draft coming up. Maybe they had their eye on a couple guys.
Yeah, I hear that. And the other thing, too, is, the cool thing, everyone's come around to the idea of guys retiring a little bit early because, we see guys that hang around too long and then they're like, you see some of the older players are crippled, and they get a little older and everything's shot. And so for me, I'm a pretty pro player guy. So I'm just kind of like, you know what? If you feel like for the health of your family and for the health of your well-being and you already have some other stuff lined up, after football, you know what? If you feel like it's the time, go ahead and go for it. I think Rob Gronkowski, I think picked the exact right time. He said he started feeling like his last season, he felt like his back. He said his back was
I think
terrible.
So, yeah.
He had some injuries, and so for Rob, he has Super Bowl championships. For him to retire, and then I think he's gonna. He actually signed a deal with WWE.
Yep.
And the thing is, they're pretty lately, especially they're pretty pro athlete as far as like taking care of their bodies. And he'll be able to get on a part-time schedule and make some money, which is he's a guy that took care of his money. He said a lot of times that he's never spent any of his NFL salary. Everything he's bought has been through his endorsements, and then his NFL salary has been set aside in investments and just taking care of himself forever, which is super smart. He's not a real flashy, blingy guy. Every time you see him, he's hat and a t-shirt. I think for a player to decide like, hey, I've played for a few years, it's time for me to get out. I've made my money, and if he's invested it correctly, he's good to go. So it's always kind of cool. And then as far as the Chiefs go, as far as free agency stuff goes, they'll be like, don't look